So, you know, I always think of you as my gatekeeper because you meet all these people. A lot of people don't know this about Corrie. Corrie does all of her work for free. It's all volunteer. She's on Facebook hours a day fielding thousands of emails. You know, I'll complain to her, I have 100 emails, and she'll be like, oh,
I have 250,000.
I have 250,000 in 5 different emails. So the world is reaching out for this woman, and no one is paying her. This is all from love. And I personally think that should change, but that's just me. The people that reach out to Corrie, some of them find their way to me, and we have had experiences of people who, you know, one man in particular who has brain cancer and young children, and they told him, it's done for you, all gone, no more.
2 months.
2 months, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
It's 2 years ago. He's still alive.
Yeah.
He's still married. His children are still growing older. So that's a beautiful thing. We have another woman who, you know, like, you know, the thing with the doctors, wouldn't you say, is that they love to scare you.
Oh, absolutely.
It's their plan. You know, we actually have a class in medicine, medical school called How to Scare the Crap Out of Your Client. And the first thing there that we learn is to tell people when they're going to die. Because when an oncologist or a doctor gives you a expiration date, they're doing that to save their own ass. Right,
yeah.
Corrie?
Well, and not only that, a lot of people totally buy into that date.
Right,
and will die to the day.
Right, exactly. Because your doctors are doing that because this is how they protect themselves as medical professionals, and also so you can get a grip and understanding that you need to take what's happening with you seriously. Mm-hmm. Like it's not a joke. You don't have any time.
And the other thing that I always tell cancer patients, when they go in to see a doctor and they're diagnosed with cancer, they're told, you should have started chemotherapy yesterday. Get in there, get chemotherapy, get radiation. I always tell cancer patients, you know what? This took you years and years and years to get cancer.
Right.
Take a month, take 2 months. Try the cannabis oil. Try it first.
Try it. Exactly. That's a good point that she's saying right there. You know, no matter what they tell you, I promise you, you will not die in 24 hours of diagnosis. Okay? No matter what they tell you. No. And, you know, it is a really good thing to take a breath, no matter what your diagnosis is. Take 24 hours, take 7 days, collect yourself, get your emotional body in order, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you are just like, it's like bam, you know, you hear that, you just got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
You know, reach out to somebody who knows something, get some education, and then make your decision.
And then make your decision. And the other thing I always say to people too is, as long as you've got a heartbeat, it's never too late.
Right, exactly.
It's never too late. We have a patient in Greece. His girlfriend reached out to me 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. He had testicular cancer, 30 years old, with metastasis to the buttock muscle, the leg muscle, the brain, and the bone in his arm. And they were told that his time was very limited. His cancer count in 5 weeks went from something like, what was it, 29,000 or 27,000 something?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
To 31.
Yeah. 31.
And then she said, and we had an MRI today, and I'll let you know what the scan results are. And I'm thinking, oh shit, this hasn't been anywhere near long enough that we're going to see a change in that. I was already like just so pumped at what was going on in 5 weeks with the cancer level dropping. He had one brain tumor that was 9 millimeters and went down to 1? Was it 1?
Yeah,
1 millimeter. 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
This is a man that's supposed to be dead.
He's supposed to be dead. And also, we can also say that we have some people between us that we have lost who have fought really hard. Mm-hmm. And they have done everything right, and it hasn't worked. Yeah. So that happens too. Yeah. You know, it happens too. But more often than not, I would say 85% of my client base is successful. Yeah. And that means that they're alive today. That's how but you know what? Success doesn't necessarily mean you're alive, you know?
No.
I mean, but they're still breathing. How about that? 85% of them are still breathing.
Yeah, but I think they're breathing with a lot better quality of life than
a lot better quality of life,
chemo and radiation.
Sure.
And I think that most of the patients that we do lose are the ones that are already damaged from chemo and radiation.
Right.
You know, I was asked the other day to name a patient, or how many patients that I had lost that hadn't done any chemo and radiation, and all they had done was cannabis oil. I could not name one patient. Yeah, no, me neither. I really can't. So, what would happen? You know, that's my dream. You know, unfortunately, I don't think cancer's going away any day soon. And it's my dream that when somebody's diagnosed with cancer, their first choice is to do cannabis oil, not their last choice. Right, exactly. Yeah, please come on the front, not on the end. It would be so much better. And then, you know, we've both made oil, Corrie and I. Yeah. The strain conversation is really getting kind of out of control, don't you think?
Yeah.
Along with the solvent.
Yeah, along with the solvent. Okay, we're here to tell you, since we're dealing with thousands of people, you know, we have a client base between us of over 3,000 people. Don't pay so much attention to who's right and what strain's right, because cannabis is cannabis. And at the end of the day, there's really two molecular structures before they're hybrid, sativa and indica. Sorry. And what's important is that it's a full plant extraction. That's it. That's what's important. Full plant extraction. That means THC and CBD are present. Okay? That's really what you say. That's the most important thing. And all the other stuff is personality and event. So don't waste your time there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't talk to people a lot about juicing and doing all of that, because
cheesecake and vanilla.
Yes.
Cheesecake and vanilla.
Believe it or not.
Eat. Cancer wants to kill you by starving you. That's what cancer does, is it makes you starve.
Basically, people who die of cancer die of starvation. And when somebody is in an advanced cancer, their body goes into high fat burning mode. When you take things like, eat things like cheesecake, high fat, ice cream, etc., you're slowing down that process of starvation.
Right. And when you use things like vanilla, an organic, not organic, whatever, how about just not imitation, a real vanilla, you pure vanilla, the terpene receptors in your brain which allow you to receive cannabinoids better. So add a little bit of vanilla to your coffee, to your tea, to your milk, to your whatever, because vanilla makes everything taste good, and smell it.
I always say everything in moderation.
Everything except for vanilla. I'm just kidding.
Or
cannabis. No moderation. Dr. Bob Malamud said the way to improve it is to just take more cannabis.
Yeah. Well, and I got to tell you, when I took my cannabis oil at night, I took it with a glass of wine.
Yeah, she
Here we go. You know?
I'm sure she did.
And that is the only, I mean, I did not change a thing. I didn't go on a diet. Mind you, I eat fairly healthy. I didn't go on a diet, a special diet. I didn't quit drinking or whatever. I mean, I don't eat a lot of processed foods. But, you know, I washed that oil down with wine.
Right.
That's what I did.
And as far as diet goes, really, when you start using cannabis oil, you organically begin to make better food choices.
You just do.
You feel better about yourself, and your system is coming into balance. And the reason why we go for things like fast foods or sugars or salts is because we're out of balance, nutritionally out of balance. And so the cannabinoids bring our endocrine system into balance.
Well, I had a patient who, it was so cute. She was afraid to call me because she didn't have cancer. It took her 6 months to get up the nerve to call me. And when she called me, she had heart disease, diabetes, Sjögren's disease, a whole gamut of things. And she'd been morbidly obese since she was 18 years old. This is a woman who's mid-50s. And she lost 30 pounds in 2 months. Not because she dieted. She didn't diet at all.
No,
it just happened.
It just happens.
She was making better food choices, you know?
And you will, because you want to feel good, and you feel good, and your brain opens, you know, your brain opens. That's cool. Anything else we should tell them?
Anything else we should tell them?
Be polite and considerate when you are asking for help.
Please and thank you go really a long way with me.
Exactly. You know, when you're reaching out to this woman, thank you very much for your time. And, you know, donations don't hurt.